specifically about the environmental impacts of anaerobic digestion. I'd then like to talk on where, if we need to regulate, and finally, how we can help you, how we can provide more help, support on the development of anaerobic digestion. But let's not understate the nature of the challenge that we're facing at the moment. 110 million tonnes of bio-waste, a major resource, a valuable resource that we need to take full advantage of. Recognising, though, that all the solutions that are around at the moment aren't going to solve everything. There is a lot of non-farm generated biomaterial which isn't suitable for anaerobic digestion. Anaerobic digestion, as we heard earlier, is a technology. It's not new. It's an area where we have been developing our knowledge and experience for some time. Ultimately, the land is where a lot of our materials are going. This is a limited resource. And we need to ensure that what we're doing is actually bringing benefits rather than a cheap way of avoiding environmental implications and environmental regulation. And I have to say that I'm a firm believer that we do need effective regulation to avoid creating problems, to avoid some of the issues of the past, and to protect air, land and water. And what's more, we need to be able to respond to the changes. We know that there is going to be increase in growth, increase in the amount of wastes, food waste that needs recovering and recycling. And we need to be able to respond to that challenge. We need to have the capacity. And we need to be able to put in place the regulatory framework that is going to meet that need. And as I say, there are major challenges, major environmental challenges. We know that whenever we start handling any wastes, they have potential for impact on air, on land and water. We know, particularly when we talk about burning materials, particularly when we start talking about burning biogas, and we've already seen it with the use of biogas from landfill sites, that we can have quite a significant impact on air quality. But we've also seen a shift from doing things on the cheap, on the quick, to quality operations, upping the game in terms of the type of processes that we use, the quality of combustion engines. But we also need to be wary of the other issues associated particularly with the handling of materials, nuisance. Just to put it in perspective, I'm responsible for the regulation of everything from power stations to chemical works to landfill sites to composting. And you can probably guess the thing that causes me the most amount of grief and the number of complaints is on the handling of waste. And I get more issues around odour and nuisance from composting than anything else. We need to ensure that we are addressing all the issues, particularly the public perception issue associated with what we are doing and proposing. Because quite frankly, if we lose the public, then we lose a valuable amount of support and resource for where we want to go. We need to ensure not only the quality of the material going in, but also the quality of the material coming out. And so often, particularly, I have to say, in handling waste issues, I see an expectation that you put poor material in with the expectation that you're going to get good quality material out. The old adage stands, rubbish in, rubbish out. And we're talking about a wide range of activities and the need to ensure that we are proportionate in our responses on the risks. So let's make sure that we tackle the environmental effects. Although it may seem strange to be standing here as a regulator, I'm not an enthusiastic supporter of regulation, except where it's needed. We should ensure that we only have the regulations we need to achieve the level playing field, to achieve the environmental outcomes that we desire. To avoid those who are trying to do it on a cheap and trying to cut corners, undermining the business and undermining perception of the business. We are therefore very keen supporters of DEFRA's proposals, initiatives on anaerobic digestion, backing up and securing greater uptake of anaerobic digestion. We have worked with our government colleagues, particularly DEFRA, on a complete overhaul of the permitting process, such that we are proportionate in how we regulate, from simple exemptions through to detailed bespoke permitting. We've also been very clear on many of the things that don't require regulation, although they may be perceived to be wastes. We've got a position on manures and slurries. And what's most important, we have standardised and simplified our approaches where we can. We have already put in place arrangements to produce standard permits for anaerobic digestion produced through our National Permitting Centre. To date, we've only had 23 applications for permits for anaerobic digestion. Compare that to the 1,000 we're expecting. There's a lot of talk going on, a lot of thinking going on. We want to make sure we're actually getting delivery. And so far we've only had to issue 18 permits. But I'm pleased to say that of those, over 70% were issued within 3 months of application. And for the rest, I have to say that there are a lot of challenges which have not been addressed in thinking about the proposals. Nuisance issues particularly. If we can get the quality of the application right, then we can have a far quicker, far slicker permitting process. And the other thing, going back to my rubbish in, rubbish out, we want to ensure that the output, the digestate from anaerobic digestion is valuable. It's not yet another problem that we've got to deal with. And the issue that we are particularly focusing on at the moment is ensuring that we are pushing our regulation of the biomethane. If we can reduce the biomethane to a standard, we can get into the grid, into transport, that's great, because it's no longer waste, we don't have to worry about regulating it. If on the other hand we still have problems with materials coming out, then inevitably we need proportionate regulation. So, going forward, we are looking at establishing a national group to manage permit applications for AD, so that there is a systematic, consistent approach to the whole regulation of AD. We've got a group under my colleague Howard Lieberman set up to coordinate our approach to the regulation of AD. And these are Howard's comments. And what's more, Howard is running a stand with Environment Agency colleagues out in the main arena today. So if you've got any questions, detailed questions about regulation of AD, please come along to that stand. And another plug for Howard is we're actually running a masterclass on permitting this afternoon in Seminar 1 at 4 o'clock this afternoon. So if you've got any specific questions, again, please bring them up with Howard. But going forward, anaerobic digestion is not new, but we are learning as we go along, and a lot about the implications, the environmental impacts. Let's make sure that we know the best, we've got the best evidence, the best information to inform what we're doing. But let's focus on the outcomes. Let's see the benefits, and let's all reap the benefits of anaerobic digestion. Thank you very much.